I was just 18 when my boss broke my femur during one of his assaults. He thought he'd destroyed me that day, but what he didn't know was that he'd just made his biggest mistake. Hi, my dear ones. My name is Dorothy, but most people call me Grandma Dot. I'm 71 years old, born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. And today, for the first time, I'm going to tell a story I've held in my heart for over 50 years. Not even my own children know the truth. Before I begin, please subscribe to Daily Grandma's Tales and give this video a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from and how many kids or grandkids you have. It always warms my heart to read your messages. Now, let me take you back to 1971. I had just turned 18. My father had died the year before in a construction accident, and my mother was left alone with me and my 3 younger siblings. The Social Security checks we got barely covered rent. One day, my mom looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, "Dorothy, you're the oldest. I need you to help support this family." So I went out looking for work. Store after store turned me down. "You need experience," they said. Some households didn't want someone my age. Too young, too unreliable. I was close to giving up until a neighbor told me about Johnson Textiles. "They hire girls," she said. "It's hard work, but they pay on time." That next Monday, I showed up in my best navy blue dress, the one my mother had sewn by hand. The building was cold gray and smelled like chemicals. The front desk man barely looked at me, told me to wait. After nearly an hour, someone said, "Mr. Robert will see you now." He was the owner, mid-40s, slicked back black hair, expensive suit. The kind of man who thought the world owed him something. He looked me up and down slowly. "So, you want to work here?" "Yes, sir, I really need the job." "No experience, huh?" "I can tell by your hands." He took my hands and held them too long. Soft. "These haven't seen real work." I felt uneasy, but I needed the money. "I'll give you a chance," he said. "You'll start in packaging, half minimum wage, 6 days a week, 7 to 6. It wasn't much, but it was something. "I accept," I said quickly. Then he leaned closer and said, "Just one thing. I like dedicated employees, ones who know how to appreciate when their boss is being generous." I didn't understand what he meant. I just nodded. "I'll do my best, Mr. Robert." The next morning I started. The factory was packed with other girls, young like me. The machines were loud. The air was thick with heat and dye. My job was to fold fabric, box it, and send it down the line. Most of the girls were kind. They showed me the ropes. One girl, Connie, stood out. She was 20, sharp, and had this protective look in her eyes. "Just be careful with Mr. Robert," she warned. I asked why. She glanced around to make sure no one was listening. "He has habits, especially with new girls. Pretty ones." "What kind of habits?" I asked. "You'll see, just never go to his office alone, especially after hours." That warning stuck with me, but I tried not to think the worst. I was poor. He had given me a job. Maybe people were just exaggerating. The first week passed without anything strange. I came home tired but proud. I was helping my mom put food on the table. Then in the second week, Mr. Robert started showing up near my station. He always stopped longer at my table. "You're adapting well, Dorothy," he'd say, placing a hand on my shoulder and not moving it. Sometimes he'd stand too close. I could feel his breath on my neck. "Be careful," Connie told me again. "If he calls you to his office, take someone with you." By the third week, that's exactly what happened. He called me in, said he wanted to talk about my performance. I brought Connie along, pretending I needed help. "You didn't need to bring anyone," he said coldly. "It's just a performance review." "Sorry," I said. "She was just helping me understand something." "Next time, come alone," he said. It wasn't a suggestion. It was a command. That Friday, near the end of the workday, Mr. Robert called me again. "Dorothy, I need to see you in my office." Most of the girls had already left. Connie was gone too. The factory floor was nearly empty. "Can I come tomorrow?" I asked, trying to avoid it. "I'm finishing the last shipment." "It's about your salary," he said, his voice firm. "You want to talk about money or not?" Of course I did. I was making barely enough to help my family. If he was offering a raise, I had to listen. So I followed him. His office was on the second floor, quiet, far from the machines, far from anyone else. It was a large room with bookshelves, a heavy desk, and an old sofa in the corner. "Sit," he said, pointing to the chair across from his desk. I sat. My hands were sweating. I felt something in my chest, not nerves, dread. "You're a smart girl," he said, pacing slowly behind me. "Hardworking. I like that. Thank you, Mr. Robert. I'm thinking about promoting you," he said, "maybe even to section supervisor." My heart jumped. That position paid almost a full wage. It would change everything. "But promotions aren't free," he continued. "I need to know I can trust you, that you're loyal, that you're grateful." Then I felt it. His hands on my shoulders, heavy, warm, wrong. "I am loyal," I said, trying to sound strong. "I work hard. It's not just about work," he whispered. His hands slid down my arms. That's when I understood exactly what Connie had tried to warn me about. "I think I should go," I said, trying to get up. "You're not going anywhere," he snapped. His voice changed, no longer polite, now cold, now threatening. "You know how many girls would kill for your job? You want to keep it? Yes. Then you're going to show me you deserve it." I won't describe what happened next in detail. Not because I forgot. I remember every second, every sound, every word. But some things are too heavy for words. He violated me. He took something from me that didn't belong to him. When he was done, he adjusted his suit like nothing had happened. "If you tell anyone," he said, "you'll be fired, and I'll make sure no one in this city hires you." I left that office in a daze. I could barely walk straight. I got home and locked myself in the bathroom. I stood under the water until it turned cold. I scrubbed until my skin burned, but I couldn't feel clean. At dinner, my mother asked, "Are you okay, honey?" "Just tired, Mom." I couldn't tell her. How could I say that the job putting food on our table came with this price? That weekend, I stayed in bed and pretended to be sick. I didn't want to go back, but then I saw my mother counting coins on the kitchen table, trying to make ends meet, and I knew I had no choice. On Monday, I returned to the factory. Mr. Robert greeted me like nothing had happened. "Good morning, Dorothy. I hope you had a restful weekend." He even smiled, in front of everyone, but in his eyes I saw it. That look, that power. He knew he owned me now. Later that day, he passed by my table and whispered, "I need to talk to you again, about that matter we discussed Friday." Connie noticed something had changed in me. "What did he do?" she asked quietly. "Nothing," I lied. "We just talked." But Connie saw right through me. "Dorothy," she said, "I know what it looks like when a girl's been through something. It's all over your face." I broke down right there in the cafeteria. I couldn't hold it anymore. "He said if I tell anyone, I'll be fired," I whispered. "You really believe him?" "I can't lose this job, Connie. My family needs it." She looked down, defeated. "That's how he gets away with it. He picks girls like us, poor, desperate, and uses us until we break." The weeks that followed were a living nightmare. Every 2 or 3 days, Mr. Robert would call me into his office, always under the same excuse. "Dorothy, we need to talk about your productivity." But we both knew what that really meant. Sometimes he'd wait until the workday ended. Other times he'd summon me during lunch, leaving me hungry, humiliated, and hollow. The fear never left me. Even when I was home, I saw his face in my dreams. I started losing weight. I stopped sleeping. My mother begged me to see a doctor. But what kind of medicine cures shame? Connie did what she could. She tried to distract him. She'd stay nearby when he approached. Sometimes she made up emergencies to pull me away. But she couldn't always be there. "You have to report him," she urged. "To who?" I asked. "The police? You think they'll believe me over him?" It was 1971. Poor women didn't get justice, especially against powerful men. By summer, the abuse got worse, bolder, rougher. He even changed the lock on his office door. "For privacy," he said with a grin. That word, privacy, made my stomach turn. Then he started sending me to his house. "Take these documents to my residence. It's urgent." I still hoped it was real work. It wasn't. At his home, a big white house in a rich neighborhood, he was even more dangerous. No machines, no coworkers, no chance of being interrupted. He had all the time and control he wanted. "There's no one here to interrupt us," he'd say, locking the door. "Now we can really talk." I began faking illnesses, missing shifts. He punished me by docking my pay. "Employees who don't show up don't get full wages," he'd say coldly. He was tightening his grip inch by inch. In September, my mother noticed. "Why is your paycheck short, Dorothy?" "I've been sick," I lied. "You know we can't afford to miss even $1. And that's when it really hit me. I wasn't just suffering in silence. I was dragging my family into it too. I thought about running away, leaving Cincinnati, starting over somewhere else. But I had no money, no car, nowhere to go. Mr. Roberts seemed to know. He could smell my desperation. "Thinking about leaving?" he asked one afternoon. "Don't, you belong to me now." Belong. As if I were a thing, a possession. "And if you run," he said, "I'll find you. I have contacts. You won't work anywhere in this state if I say so." It wasn't just a threat. He meant it. By November, I was completely broken. I had lost 15 pounds. I developed stomach ulcers. Some nights I truly wished I wouldn't wake up. And then came the moment that changed everything. It was late on a Friday. He called me again, but this time, he was drunk. I could smell the alcohol. "Today, you're going to learn a lesson," he said, grabbing me harder than ever before. And then, snap! A loud, sickening crack. My vision went white with pain. I screamed like I never had in my life. My right leg, my femur, had snapped in half. I collapsed, screaming, crying. The pain was blinding. Mr. Robert froze. For the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. "Oh God, what have I done?" he panicked, tried to shut me up, tried to lift me. "Be quiet, someone might hear." But I kept screaming, and deep inside, beneath the agony, I knew something. I finally had proof. A broken leg can't be hidden, and that meant Mr. Roberts' time was running out. The pain was unbearable. My leg was twisted, bent the wrong way. Every movement sent a lightning bolt through my body. But for the first time in almost a year, I saw something else. I saw Mr. Robert panic. He wasn't the predator anymore. He was just a frightened man who had gone too far. "I'll take you to the hospital," he said, scrambling. "You fell. You slipped on the stairs. That's the story." I didn't argue. I couldn't. I was in too much pain. He carried me to his car, a black Ford. Every bump in the road felt like a knife twisting in my leg. And all the while, he kept repeating, "You slipped. That's it. You slipped." It was an accident. But I wasn't thinking about his story anymore. I was planning mine. At the hospital, he rushed in shouting, "She fell at work, broke her leg on the stairs." Doctors and nurses swarmed around me. One of them, Dr. Wilson, took over my case. Kind eyes, steady hands. "How did this happen?" he asked gently as he examined my leg. I looked over. Mr. Roberts stood in the doorway, glaring. "I slipped," I said, tears rolling down my cheeks. "I fell on the iron stairs." Dr. Wilson nodded, but I could tell he wasn't convinced. "We'll need to operate," he said. "It's a complex fracture. You'll be in the hospital for at least 2 weeks, and months of recovery afterward." I looked at Mr. Robert. His face went pale. 2 weeks. That meant I'd be out of his reach, surrounded by people, doctors, nurses, witnesses, people who couldn't be bought. And for the first time in months, I felt a flicker of something I hadn't felt in ages. Relief. Mr. Robert tried to maintain his act. "I'll call your family," he said. "They need to know." But once he left the room, Dr. Wilson returned, and this time he brought someone with him. A woman, maybe in her 40s, sharp eyes, calm voice. "This is Dr. Sarah," he said. "She's our psychologist. She'd like to speak with you." Dr. Sarah pulled up a chair beside my bed. "How are you feeling, Dorothy?" "My leg still hurts," I said. "I'm not talking about your leg." That stopped me. No one had asked that question since it all began. "Dr. Wilson said your fracture doesn't look like a fall. He's seen factory accidents before. This looks like direct trauma." I panicked. My heart started racing. "It was a fall," I said quickly. "I slipped." She didn't press me. She just looked into my eyes and said, "If you ever want to tell me the truth, you can. And nothing you say will leave this room without your permission." Then she left. That night, I couldn't sleep. Her words kept echoing in my mind. For the first time, someone was offering me a way out. A few days later, I had another visitor. It was Connie. She brought flowers, and that same fierce look in her eyes. "How are you?" she asked. "I'm better. I'll be back at work soon." She leaned in closer. "Are you sure it was an accident?" "Why do you ask?" "Because I've known you for almost a year. You don't fall. You're careful." She gave me a look, the kind that says, "You don't have to lie anymore." And just like that, the dam broke. "He did it, Connie. He pushed me too hard. My leg snapped." She held my hand. "Then you have to tell someone. You almost died, Dorothy." I hesitated. What if no one believes me? "You've got me. You're not alone." That same evening, I called the nurse. "Please get Dr. Sarah," I said. "It's urgent." She arrived within the hour, sat in the same chair, and asked no questions. This time, I spoke. I told her everything, every violation, every threat, every time I was called into that office, how he used our poverty as a weapon, how I watched other girls fall victim to the same evil. She didn't interrupt, she didn't flinch, she just listened, and when I finished, she looked me in the eyes and said, "Dorothy, you are very brave. Now we have to decide what comes next." "What can I do?" I asked Dr. Sarah. "You can report him. You have medical evidence. We have your statement. I can put you in contact with a lawyer." I was terrified. "What if no one believes me?" "Some won't," she said softly, "but some will. And your voice could stop him from hurting anyone else." I thought of the other girls, Marlene, Rosa, the ones who stayed quiet, and the ones who hadn't even started working there yet. "I want a report," I said. "I want him to pay for what he did." Dr. Sarah smiled, not with joy, but with respect. "Then let's begin." Within days, she introduced me to a lawyer named Mr. Thompson, young, determined, the kind of man who still believed justice was worth fighting for. After I told him everything, he leaned back and said, "Your case is strong. We have physical evidence, witnesses, a clear pattern of abuse. But he has money," I said. "And power," Mr. Thompson nodded. "And we have the truth. Sometimes that's enough." Mr. Robert continued visiting the hospital, bringing fruit baskets, flowers, fake concern, but the moment we were alone, his mask came off. "I hope you're not doing anything stupid," he whispered. "Your family still needs me." But I wasn't afraid anymore. "I'm not doing anything stupid," I said, locking eyes with him. "I'm doing justice." His expression changed. "You don't know who you're messing with," he hissed. "I'll destroy you." "You already tried," I said calmly, "and you failed." 3 days later, I was discharged from the hospital. My leg was still in a cast. I needed crutches, but I had something I hadn't had in a long time: freedom. Mr. Thompson and Dr. Sarah helped me begin building the case. We needed more than just my word. We needed other victims, witnesses, patterns, and I had to start by telling the hardest truth of all, to my mother. Back home, she hugged me tight. "Mr. Robert said you can take all the time you need," she said. "What a good man." I sat her down in the kitchen, poured her a cup of coffee, and took a deep breath. "Mom, what happened to me at the factory wasn't an accident." Her smile faded. "What do you mean?" And I told her everything. Her face changed slowly, from confusion to disbelief to heartbreak. "My baby," she whispered. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I was scared. Because I didn't want to lose the job. Because I didn't think anyone would believe me." She hugged me so tight I could hardly breathe. "I'm so sorry, honey," she said through tears. "Sorry I didn't see it. Sorry you carried this alone." With her support, I contacted Connie. We met at my house that Saturday. "I'm ready to help," she said. "I've watched too many girls go through what you did. I'm tired of staying quiet." Then she added something that made my heart skip. "Marlene and Rosa want to talk too." And there was more. "Janet, remember her? She quit suddenly last year. She's ready to speak up, and she's not the only one." That Sunday, we met at Connie's kitchen table. 5 women, 5 voices, one shared truth. Each one had their story. Each one had the same pattern, and all of it pointed to Mr. Robert. When we told Mr. Thompson what we had, his eyes lit up. "This changes everything," he said. "This isn't just your word against his. This is a system, a pattern of exploitation." But Mr. Robert wasn't sitting quietly. When I didn't return to work after my medical leave, he showed up at our house. He banged on the door, loud, aggressive. My mother answered. "She doesn't want to speak to you. I'm here about her job, her future." I walked out on crutches and looked him in the eye. "What do you want?" "Come back to work. Forget all this. I'll double your salary." That was a lot of money. We needed it. But I didn't hesitate. "No," I said. "And if you come near my family again, I'll call the police." His face turned red with rage. "You'll regret this." But he walked away, and this time I didn't flinch. In February 1972, we officially filed the lawsuit. Mr. Thompson worked day and night preparing every detail, testimonies, medical records, timeline, everything. When the news hit the city, it caused a scandal. Nothing like this had ever happened in Cincinnati. A teenage girl suing a respected businessman for sexual abuse, in public, in court. The headlines were careful. Employee accuses factory owner of assault. But behind the words, the city chose sides. Some called me brave, others called me a liar. "That girl just wants money," I heard someone say at the pharmacy. "She's trying to ruin a good man." But I wasn't alone anymore. More women started reaching out. Even those who couldn't testify publicly, they said, "I believe you." Mr. Robert hired the best law firm in Ohio. His lead attorney, Charles Mason, was known for tearing victims apart on the stand. Their strategy was clear from the beginning. Discredit the girls, destroy our reputations, make us look like liars. The hearing was set for March. Mr. Thompson warned me, "They'll dig into everything. Your past, your family, your motives. Once we begin, there's no turning back." "I'm ready," I told him, because I was. The courthouse was packed the day the trial began. Journalists, onlookers, supporters from both sides. I arrived on crutches, my legs still healing, but my spine straighter than ever. When Mr. Robert walked into the courtroom, our eyes met. He looked the same, but I wasn't. The trial opened with Mason calling us disgruntled employees. He said we were making it up, that we were trying to blackmail an innocent man. Mr. Thompson stood tall. "We have 5 women with matching stories years apart. This is not coincidence. This is a predator's pattern." Then it was my turn to testify. I stood, took the oath, and faced the court. And I told them everything. Not just the pain, but the silence, the fear, the shame, the way he made me feel like I didn't even own my own body. I cried, but I didn't break. When Mason tried to rattle me, I stayed steady. "Why didn't you report earlier?" he asked. "Why wait until after the accident?" "Because I was afraid," I said. "And because only now did I find people who believed me." "Are you doing this for money?" "If I wanted money," I said, "I would have taken the raise he offered when he tried to buy my silence." That shut him up. One by one, the other girls testified. Their stories mirrored mine. Same tactics, same threats, same pain. Then Janet dropped the bombshell. "Mr. Robert's been doing this since 1965, she said. "I spoke with 8 other women who went through the same thing. Some had to leave town, some never recovered. 8 more. Even the courtroom went silent." Mr. Robert denied everything. He said we were lying, that we were conspiring to destroy him, but the cracks were showing, the patterns, the testimonies, the medical evidence. It all added up. The trial lasted 3 months. 3 long, exhausting months. But during that time, something incredible happened. Women across the city started speaking up, quietly, carefully, but they spoke. We were no longer alone. In June 1972, the judge gave his verdict. This court finds the pattern of abuse clear and consistent, the testimonies credible, the actions of Mr. Robert inexcusable. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison, ordered to pay compensation to the victims, and Johnson Textiles was temporarily shut down. When the verdict was read, I cried harder than I ever had before, but for once, they were tears of relief. We did it. We proved that justice wasn't just for the rich, that even poor girls, with broken bodies but unbroken spirits, could win. After the trial, life didn't suddenly become easy. In fact, it was just the beginning. The victory in court was more than a win. It was a call to action. I realized I couldn't keep this fight to myself. There were so many women still trapped in silence, just like I once was. So I made a choice. I went back to school. College was scary. I was older than most students, still healing, still carrying scars nobody saw. But every class, every late night studying law and social work felt like armor to protect others. I found work as a legal assistant for a women's rights attorney. We helped survivors file reports, fight back, and most importantly, believe they deserved justice. Every file on my desk was a story waiting to be told. Every name, a reminder of why I kept going. I started speaking publicly, at community centers, churches, even high schools. I told my story, not to relive the pain, but to light a fire, to show other survivors they weren't alone, that their voices mattered. Over time, I became a recognized advocate. I helped push for new laws to protect workers, stronger harassment policies, better victim support systems. My fight wasn't just for me anymore. It was for every woman who deserved to be heard. But it wasn't easy. Some people still doubted me. Some days the memories felt like chains. Yet every letter from a survivor thanking me, every small victory kept me moving forward. Looking back now, I see how far we came, from a scared teenager on crutches to a woman standing tall, fighting for justice, and the fight isn't over. Because as long as there are voices silenced by fear, I'll keep telling the story. I'll keep raising mine for us all. If this story moved you, don't stay silent. Subscribe for more powerful true stories that deserve to be heard. Know someone who needs to hear this? Share this video. You never know who it might help. If you or someone you know is a survivor of abuse, please reach out to local support groups or national hotlines. Help is out there, healing is possible,